about the economy to get people to understand how policy change can create a more just and equitable economic system. So the good news here is that members of the American public already tend to start with the assumption that government plays a big role in shaping how the economy works. This is a big finding that has come out of recent research we've been doing in our culture change project. The idea that the economy is a design system is the dominant way of thinking about how the economy works. And that's actually a change since the past. So that's the good news. The challenge is that understanding of how policies shape the economy is somewhat limited. People often aren't sure exactly how policies are affecting the economy. This is particularly true about some recent big policies like the CHIPS Act or the American Rescue Plan. There are some really important things that we can do through framing to build that understanding of how policies shape the economy and shape who benefits. So there are some things we want to do up front. We want to foreground that design systems thinking. So actively cue and activate the idea that the economy is shaped by what government does, by choices that we make through our public policies, that those things matter. It's also important to use language that conveys the idea that economic power actually starts with government itself. Frequently, when people talk about the government's role in the economy, they'll use language that suggests that government is actually an interloper, that government is intervening or stepping in as if the economy and the market were just functioning without it in the first place. If instead we talk about the government reclaiming its role in the economy rather than ceding power to corporations, that conveys a different relationship of the government and the economy. It's also really important not to use unframed facts, not to expect that our killer statistic is going to do all of the work that we want it to do. So it's not that statistics aren't important. The right statistic can be really effective, but it has to be situated within the right kind of frame, and particularly the right kind of explanation that helps people connect the dots between policies and their effects on the economy and ultimately on real people. The last point is that our economic conversations are rife with metaphors, and paying attention to which ones are out there and which ones we're picking up on and repeating is really important as we try to get our points across. So to give an example of this, in discussions of the job market, we often saw news articles about the tight labor market. And that's a metaphor that makes it seem like it's a bad thing, right? A tight labor market doesn't sound great, and it's partly because it's from the position of the employer. So employers are having a hard time finding workers, and that's because it's a job market that's really good for workers. We sometimes saw the alternative metaphor of a hot labor market in news articles, and that sounds like a good thing. That is characterizing things from the position of workers themselves. It is easier for them to get a good job because the labor market is hot.